Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ENC.com. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. Something massive happened earlier this week that I think most of us South Africans missed because of the madness of the Madlanga Commission, because of Mkhwanazi and Mashazi and the Mkhwanazi cinematic universe and other people whose surnames start with M. But Thulani Dlomo was arrested earlier this week, who is commonly known as Jacob Zuma's personal spy, although he's rejected that title. Thulani Dlomo, the man who seems to have been put in charge of the state security agency, Ausbooks' counterintelligence services for many years under Jacob Zuma's presidency, and according to a raft of people who spoke at the Zondo Commission, who've leveled allegations at Thulani Dlomo in a bunch of other forums. He apparently was the guy who did Zuma's bidding and allegedly repeatedly broke the law to take out Zuma's enemies, silence his detractors, and to allegedly steal money from the state, and specifically the state security agency, for Jacob Zuma himself. And if this charge sticks, it could crack open all that we found out about state capture under the Zondo Commission. So let's talk about what the arrest of Thulani Dlomo might mean for a whole bunch of powerful people who faced serious allegations under state capture in the Zondo Commission. The only place to watch the full show is on enca.com. You can click on the link in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching. Give us a like and a subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. Also go to the link wherever you are, 3beaniesnetwork.com, to buy merchandise. Contact us on the WhatsApp line. Save the number 0607613436. And follow our WhatsApp channel. By the way, thank you to the people who've already texted us on the WhatsApp line that they've bought tickets for Yasin Barnes and my show happening next week, 11th to 13th of December in Cape Town. What the heck? 2025, what the heck? It's my and Yasin's big comedy review show at the Homecoming Center in Cape Town at the Avalon Theatre. There are still some tickets. Get onto Quicket and search 2025, what the heck, to buy tickets. Okay, so let's talk about the Zondo Commission. I know that you're overwhelmed with the Mkhwanazi Cinematic Universe and the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, but the Zondo Commission uncovered massive scale state capture during Jacob Zuma's presidency, facilitated, Julius Mkhwanazi, facilitated by himself, Jacob Zuma, and the Gupta family and a bunch of his lackeys. And but for all the people now trying to wash their reputations in the ANC, like Malusi Gigaba, in your mouth, they were all a part of that. And the Zondo Commission uncovered piles and piles and piles and piles of evidence and testimony, and then it was all given over to the Justice Department to hold and the NPA to prosecute. And so far, through rank incompetence and dysfunction between all those different bodies, there's only been one trial start. Ace Magashule used to be one of the biggest superpowers in the ANC, and of course, the maybe still most notorious tenderpreneur in the country, Edwin Sodi, even more notorious than Kat Matlala still. They are facing charges in the asbestos scandal that we've covered on this show in the Free State, in the Bloemfontein courts. But we have been waiting for one or other charge to crack open the state capture allegations and put the really powerful people in danger. And the arrest and charging of, as he is known, Jacob Zuma's super spy, Thulani Dlomo, could be a major breakthrough. I'm going to be working from the journalism of four writers, one from News 24, Notolo Sibia, then Marian Tam from the Daily Maverick, and then again from News 24, Kyle Cowan, and of course, Jeff Wicks. So tired of that name. No, that's not true. It's so funny, like what you said yesterday. We always are like, well, Jeff wrote about this, so let's do it.
It's like a tick. It's like a tick. And do you notice that the Madlanga Commission also by name named him multiple times, particularly with Mashazi and with
and the SIU on Tembisa. It's just over and over and over again. Okay, so Thulani Dlomo was made the head of State Security Agency's counterintelligence services during Jacob Zuma's administration. He later became the, ambassador to Japan. And he was called Jacob Zuma's personal spy or super spy because he allegedly claimed to report directly to Zuma, although he later denied that he was Zuma's personal spy. And he has now been arrested earlier this week along with another man, a project manager and investigator from the SSA, also called Patrick Mshotola. They have been arrested by the National Prosecuting Authority. Look at that, the NPA doing a thing. Their Independent Investigating Directorate Against Corruption. You've already heard plenty about them. It's Andrea Johnson's IDAC. Remember, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has said that certain people within IDAC are compromised and are working for the criminals and trying to protect them. There's been a big fight over IDAC. But IDAC arrested Thulani Dlomo and Patrick Mshotola on Monday over the allegation, and this is according to the charge sheet, that there was something called Project Maibuye, which means let us return. So News 24 reported back in early 2022 that a total of 84 million rand was siphoned from the state security agents' coffers under the auspices, as Jeff and Kyle wrote, of Project Maibuye, and it all allegedly went to Jacob Zuma and his lackeys as benefit. But the specific charge is that Thulani Dlomo, as well as Patrick Mshotola, forged a document to justify the early release of 12 million rand from the SSA. So the SSA has this function where you can apply for early funding on stuff because the operations are ongoing, and sometimes the SSA needs money earlier than expected or out of budget cycles in order to pull off particular operations. And so according to the charge sheet, in 3 separate transactions in 2015, in January and February, 12 million rand was withdrawn and credited to going to a company that never, ever, ever got that money. In fact, when people from that company were interviewed, they said that they just assumed that the kind of attempt to get that money went dead. But actually what happened was, according to this charge sheet, Dlomo and Mshotola forged a document justifying the withdrawal, and that money disappeared, assumedly towards Jacob Zuma. And so that's what they're charged with. And it's funny, the way this often happens, and we see this all the time, particularly with mafias, once again, is that everything can break apart over the smallest infraction, like a small gun charge, a possession of a gun charge, or like, and I'm not saying this is small, but compared to the vast scale that you're about to hear of what other things Thulani Dlomo allegedly did, this is, in the grander scheme of things, quite small. But this is the one thing that the NPA and IDAC believe that they have evidence to actually arrest these guys who've now been released on 20,000 rands bail. Again, seemingly alarmingly low, but they have been released on 20,000 rands worth of bail. Here are some of the other things that Thulani Dlomo got up to. And this is according to the reporting of Nokolo Sibia. Trained undercover agents in VIP protection and assigned some of them to protect Zuma, as well as others who were not entitled to protection, like former SAA chairperson Dudu Myeni, infiltrated and influenced the media in a campaign called Project Wave to counter bad publicity for the country and the then president and the state security agency. So allegedly, Thulani Dlomo orchestrated and led the compromising of journalists, the buying off of media, and the threatening of media to try and stop negative press about Jacob Zuma and the state security agency. Allegedly, Thulani Dlomo also intervened in the Fees Must Fall protests, the student protests, to try and influence the movement and derail it, to stop it from getting too large and having consequences for, again, Jacob Zuma and the ruling party. Allegedly, he tried to disrupt the distribution of Ramaphosa presidential campaign merch, regalia. He tried to stop CR17 merch from getting out at the 2016 ANC January 8th celebrations in Rustenburg. And according to the Zondo Commission, Dlomo somehow took control of the SSA's armory, all their weapons, all their guns, and seemingly, allegedly, handed out guns to whoever he felt deserved to have guns in rogue operations, and apparently even saw to it that his cousin, who's a civilian, was illegally handed a weapon. So the Zondo Commission found that Project Veza was various projects initiated by Dlomo and the Special Operations Unit, and they were established in breach of the SSA's policy and regulatory prescripts. So again, rogue units. These included illegal surveillance and the unaccounted squandering of about 1.5 billion rand of public funds. And allegedly, some of those 1.5 billion rands of public funds went to the purchase and leasing of properties worth 48 million, the purchase of some 293 cars, for 72 principal agent network agents and stored in warehouses at the cost of 24 million, and the employment of a network of undercover agents, none of whom had been vetted. And so the grand perspective from the Zondo Commission is that Thulani Dlomo was the core key guy who politicized and compromised the intelligence community, the SSA, working for Arthur Fraser, by the way, remember him, to advance the interests of Jacob Zuma, and apparently directly reported to him throughout 2012 to 2018. So why does this matter? One, unlike Ace Magashule, Edwin Sodi, which is really important, and about the ANC and about entrepreneurship, this is about the core alleged kingpin criminals of the state capture inquiry. This is about Jacob Zuma's alleged personal go-to guy. Very, very, very consequential if he ends up in a lot of trouble, because suddenly Zuma and the Guptas could be in the firing line. Two, this is a case against somebody who was working in the State Security Agency, the Spooks, the intelligence and counterintelligence services, who for many years, as we know, have been laws unto themselves, working for different interests and seemingly almost impregnable, beyond the reach of the law, beyond the reach of consequences. Because sure, when you are a spook, some of your functional work has to be outside of the public eye, but also that often means outside of accountability. So it's a huge, huge, huge moment that they've been arrested and that they've been charged. And as I've just described to you, this involves Thulani Dlomo, who seems to have been in the center of so many other things, as we just described, so many other credible allegations, that him cracking or him going to jail or him speaking on people who are really powerful, including his relationship with Jacob Zuma, what happened to all of that money from Operation or Project Maibuya, could really unravel a lot of people who've been accused in the state capture inquiry. It's a massive moment.
I'm incredibly relieved that I was a youth when all of this stuff was coming out, because I'm feeling afflicted by the Madlanga Commission. Every time I hear another story, another depressing story, another horrible story, I'm just like, okay, got to emotionally come to terms with the fact that this is happening in my country, and more of this stuff is probably happening that we don't know about. I think the Zondo Commission would have actually tipped me over the edge. I was...
What, like the scale of it?
Yeah, and also just how rapid it was. Like obviously 9 years is a long period of time if we're counting it from when Zuma took control all the way to when he was deposed, essentially. So 2009 to 2018. Mm-hmm. So that is a long period of time. But the amount of alleged damages that he was able to enact on so many layers of the state is unspeakable. Yeah. Like, it's actually, in a sick way, it's impressive that he managed to, because also remember, it's not just the fact that he was benefiting himself.
Allegedly.
The Scorpions being disbanded, the MPA being crippled, layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy, which was hamstrung or corrupted or whatever, allegedly. That also opens the door for so many other things, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just the sort of opportunity cost loss of what he did. Yeah. It's also what it has now allowed. It's like a Pandora's box. It's also what it's allowed subsequently.
Totally.
Like, it's kind of like the cutting the brakes on a car. Yeah. Don't say it. But
what? Go watch Godot?
Shut up. It's kind of like cutting the brakes on the car going down a hill. Yeah. It just becomes a complete momentum unraveling.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse because the car goes faster and faster without the brakes because of the hill.
Yes.
See, I get you.
Thank you for explaining
that makes
metaphor. The purpose of a metaphor is to reduce the amount of time it is required to explain something. Does this potentially look like a sign, though, that the NPA is turning around then?
We can't say that yet. They may open these charges and then the court case takes forever.
But it's a potential green shoot at the very least.
Of course it is a potential green shoot at the very least. What is also interesting is that, how we've been consistently saying that, and the ANC has framed it as, we dealt with all the bad apples from the Zondo Commission discoveries about state capture who was involved. Well, except one, because somebody else who was deeply involved with Thulani Dlomo and Arthur Fraser is still a deputy minister today. His name is David Mahlobo. He has served as the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation since 2021.
That's tough. That's that one.
There are consequences now for the African National Congress. Once again, they didn't just cut off all the alleged bad. Obviously, there are continuations consistently.
Malusi Gigaba.
Yes.
What position was he in?
Oh, well, I mean, he was Home Affairs Minister. Now he's a rank and file ANC member.
But like not just some guy. He was like fairly high up as far as I can recall.
I just said he was Home Affairs Minister.
No. Now. Like now, until he was suspended recently because of the charges. He wasn't like just a card-carrying member of the ANC. He was operationally important.
Yes, no, I know. And he was speaking at events and all that. Yeah, it's really, really, really wild. And I wonder, considering, look, Zuma's had a bad week. Not even just Russia, which is so bad. Although, do you see he subbed in another of his daughters for Duduzile in Parliament?
Imagine having that many children.
Yeah.
And our parents have 5.
Yeah.
Like, imagine having that many children where you called the bench to come and step in. Like,
in fact, I wonder, so MK has 58 MPs, right? How many MPs does
58.
MK...
Remember, because none of them, well, very few of them pitched up and they couldn't fill all their slots.
58 seats. How many children does Zuma have?
I think he has 20.
16.
Oh, okay.
So they could fill 1632, over a quarter of MK seats with just Zuma's progeny, his offspring.
And well, I mean, if we want to get into children of children.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he could probably fill the slots.
Imagine. Look, it is the Zuma party. Anyway. Okay, so that's a potentially huge story. Now we're briefed on Thulani Dlomo. Let's get into some of the WhatsApp line and comments on YouTube from yesterday's show. By the way, thank you to our listeners and viewers who either work at Woolworths or knows someone who works at Woolworths who anonymously tipped us off yesterday to the fact that Woolworths got lucky with the bags. They were going to change their bags anyway, and then it just so happened that Kapmatala revealed that the black Woolies bag was how he did his bribes to Becky Cele, amongst others, last week. Last week. So funny, because I made a quick video on that has now gone so viral that it's all over LinkedIn. People have ripped it off of, I don't post on LinkedIn. They ripped it off TikTok or somewhere. It's all over Twitter. And that's how I found out that LinkedIn was absolutely drowned in hot take think pieces about the genius of Woolworths to pivot so fast. And this is the argument that you mustn't have red tape, and visionary CEOs back their marketing managers and their sales people, and they responded so quickly to the market, and all those stupid catchwords like like flexibility and responsivity and reactivity is the best way. You were all wrong, bro. They got lucky.
I believe that the preferred term is dynamism.
And somebody commented on one of the video posts that I made saying that they live in Namibia, and Woolworths in Namibia so actually had those bags for a while. So it was inevitably going to happen.
At least this was a fun story. Like, at least like there weren't any consequences to our collective delusion. And when I say I don't mean me, because I was right.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, it also just shows how easily we all can be convinced. Like we as human beings, we just love... We love to believe a story that feels right. You know?
But also I think the vast majority of us, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the vast majority of us don't understand global supply chain management as well as James Corden.
but I mean it sincerely. Like, I think, I mean, we've seen it with the Madlanga Commission, and we've seen it with the Zondo Commission. We've seen it with so many things. Just because a story feels right doesn't mean that it is right. And I think that is something we all need to take on.